Well, it says to go live,
5 minutes, Bill. Bill,
and I'm not
I
too
have
sure whether I've gone
nothing.
live or not. So if anybody out there could press a button and say, yes, you fool, you're alive.
We had a first.
I don't know whether I'm alive or not. We'll test it out first and see what's happening in the scheme. The question is, am I live, guys? Can anybody press a button and say yes? Because I haven't done this. Oh my God, it must be 5 or 6 years. Are we live or are we not? It's the question. Oh my God. Yes, we're live. I don't know whether we're live too or not. I'll start chatting in a minute. In the meantime, I'll just check my phone to see am I alive or dead. London. There we go. We'll soon find out whether we're live or not. I don't know. It said live, but I can't. Pam, are we live? Can you? Can you? Are we? Are we live? Yes, I'm live.
Are we live?
Yes. Anyway, guys, looks like we're alive. Thank you very much for the all that waiting around to find out whether I was live or dead or not. I haven't done a live one for a long time. Oh, there's 3 of live. Hi, guys. And Pam says, yes, we're alive. So that's good. Yes, I just thought I'd do a live chat for now and then because a lot of people got a few questions which I'd like to answer if I could. Hi, 3 of life. How are you? Anyway, we had this wonderful referendum. It cost over $4 million, $1 million plus a day, and it's the best thing that's ever happened because we found out that not everybody in Australia is asleep. About 70% of the people are awake and said, no way, like they did in 99. And the good thing about that, all that money wasted was our so-called corporation, government, have well and truly published the fact that we do have a constitution. Now, I saw just a couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before, where the Victorian government tried to claim some tax for the electric cars, and this wonderful court they call the High Court, which really isn't a court because any court that you can't appeal to from, like before Bob Hawke made this republic, you could go to the Privy Council in England. So if you fail in the High Court, you went to the next stage, which is natural in a court system. You go to the Privy Council, but being a republic, unlawful as it is, a court ends there. But the good point about it is that the court said, it said the Constitution, and they knocked back the tax that the state government tried to introduce. Now, it's a well-known fact, and they just confirmed it, that only the federal government can create a tax. So how does that leave our local councils, which they call themselves local government, by the way, which that referendum in 99 said no, and no to a lot of things, and of course they privatized everything. So we have these private companies called the Pirates of not Penzance, the Pirates of the Suburbs, commonly known as councils, collecting a tax. Now, can we all take that to the state, to the federal, to the High Court? Perhaps we should. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people working on that. If anybody's out there that's just tuned in and has got a question, and it would be, I'll answer it. But in the meantime, I'll waffle on. Now, we've only got a couple of people on. I didn't tell many people about this, that I was going to do it, and I nearly forgot actually. The Sheriff's Office here in Melbourne is now recognised by the Sheriff's Federation in the USA, which means we're now a recognised sheriff office with 17 deputies, and we have 2 sheriffs in Melbourne, 3 up in Sydney, and 1 or 2 in Townsville. I think there's 2 actually in Townsville. Now, these people flew down here and took their oath of office before a jury of their peers, got sworn in, and got certificates signed by each jury member, so that helped. So I don't think I'll have to promote the next one because sitting here talking to a camera is rather annoying. Bit boring. I should have promoted the fact that I was going to go live, but again, I nearly forgot about it. So the tree of life. The tree of life rings a bell. I'm trying to think. The tree of life, can you type a question? If not, I'll carry on for a few minutes and we'll promote the next one. But anyway, if you got property out there, even if you still have a mortgage, all right. Good afternoon, Barry. We got good. Tell citizen. Great to see you guys. Come on. The next time I'll tell a few people that I'm going to go live, because it's probably the best way to get the message out there that we're doing our best and you guys are supporting us. The sheriff's office, as I said, is now recognized by the Americans, the Federation. So we need to promote that in order to have an arm with the common law court to promote to promote the term common law. Common law goes back, of course, to the 9th century. Alfred the Great, and when England was conquered in the Battle of 1066, King William, he brought in some people who kept records, and all the records of the common law court was kept from then on. But the most important thing that William the Conqueror did was he recognized the sheriff's office, and he was very impressed by the loyalty of the sheriff to the people and at the king at the time. So he kept it on, and it continued on in England. And in 1635, it went to America, and the Americans, the first sheriff that was appointed, the second sheriff was elected, and from then on, the sheriffs in most of the counties in America recognized the sheriffs as an independent body, subject to the people and the people only, not to the so-called attorney generals, which is a bit of a joke, especially if they're private, and to the prime minister of this wonderful country, which doesn't exist under the Constitution, which they spent over $4 million promoting that the Constitution exists. So you can see they dug a big hole for themselves. And let's hope that we can keep up the great work, Tree of Life, and promote the sheriff's office. We need to raise some money. We need to put a vehicle on the road so that it can be seen by the people. We've already got people with telephones with a telephone they can answer questions from people who need help, especially now with all these evictions coming up, which that's how the banks make their money. That's another story. When we get enough people, we'll go into that in depth. Perhaps maybe next Thursday night we'll go live again at the same time, and we can get a good few people in there that can ask as many questions as I can answer. I have no paperwork, so everything comes out of the head. So if I make a mistake, well, chastise me with StreamYard or something. Good afternoon. Any questions out there? Nobody's got a couple of questions. We've only got a few people on, but that's okay. It's the first attempt. Go to the London News, and there's a couple of good videos that's just gone up there. One from Dr. Steve Manning. There's 3 up there. One of his history where they put this poor man in jail on 2 occasions over a period of 7 years, and doesn't even have a parking ticket. But he arrested a judge verbally in the court, didn't like that, and he took charges against some crooked cops, which every country has its rotten apples, and he did it. And how they got him in the end was they had 2 court cases on the same day in 2 different parts of the country, and he couldn't be in 2 places at once. I have a driving matter I need to help with. Okay, well, ask the question if you can there at Tree of Life. Road rules, look, we have to have them. They're not most of them are not awful, but let's face it, with road rules, things are bad enough, and things on the road are very, very bad. Obviously, the driving matter will be related to a fine. It's not a common law matter, but it's a statute matter. If you go to the common law court, which the website CLCI Australia, you'll find it on London News, the address. There's a couple of go to documents, general documents, download. Yeah, I'll get back to it. Download where it says the fine. I promise to pay with clean hands and equity, provided you, which is the head of Mackenzie and them, or the head of that organization, can answer the following questions. Download that. It comes down in Word. Fill it in. Download it. Sign it. and send it by registered post to these people in what's the name? Oh, I forget the name of the address. The proper address anyway. Send it to them there. And if they don't reply, the most important thing about that document, it says at the end, failure to comply within a period of 28 days will be seen as a court of satisfaction. And what that means in statute laws, if they haven't replied to you personally in relation to that query you put in, now they can't answer the questions anyway, and a court of satisfaction has been reached. So if you get a summons to go to court, you produce that document for the court that this matter was rebutted on the date, and there's the copy of the registered letter which was sent to them. Video letter has been edited. Matter of driving matters. Hello from GUM. Where the heck is that? Captain Tom. Hello. I don't know where that place is. GAM. Okay, I might as well keep waffling on this again. Yeah, well, traffic matters. I mean, the courts are private companies. If you get a summons to go to court, you got to just learn a little bit about the law. Because if you get an invitation to do business on the vessel and dry dock, which is on the common law site, which again has got nothing to do with statute law, it's only there to help. And my main aim is to promote common law, and the sheriff's office, which enforces common law. The two together go hand in hand. If you download, say that summons, you say, accept your invitation to do business on your vessel in dry dock, the address of the court. It's in Word, so you can fill in all the details, as the principal for the deceased estate. Now, when you go to court, you must stand on those principles. There's not much point giving in and saying, oh, well, they says, oh, but I'm not a person, all this stuff. You just got to know what to say, and you've got to stand by and ask the questions. I'll do that another time. It's on some of the videos anyway. I haven't got any questions coming up here at the moment. Greetings, and all that stuff. The tree of life from the island. Oh, the island, wham! Oh, wow, that's a long way, Captain Tom. Have you got any questions out there that want me to answer on the spur of the moment? Oh, I have a cup. Well, it's not tea actually. It's not lemonade. It's something like that. Anyways, no alcohol. The island of Guam. Good God, that's a long way away. Anyway, if anybody's got any questions, our email address is up there. It's on the website. Mick Scott. Hi Barry, just back from a road trip in. Just got a message from my friend in the UK that's trying to raise a bank. Get a bank to back us. I'll have to get back onto him afterwards. Professor Dolores Cahill. Here's another message from Mick in England. Dolores Cahill is a friend of his, and they're fighting in a big way back there. They're getting a lot of obstruction with the telephones. When you ring up, they're blocking their numbers and stuff because there's a bit of a battle. But apparently, and there's a good possibility that the sheriff's office would be reinvented or revamped back in the UK, which would be fantastic because it's an independent body subject only to the people. Here, I got a letter here. I had a lady leaving her asking cover over a number plate Facebook. Just going into the police station. Yeah, well, I don't know what the cover over the. Not a good idea to cover your number plates, so I don't know what she was charged with if her number plates was covered up, but the number plates need to be visible, I suppose, which makes sense because if you have an accident and somebody needs to find out if the use of an air rifle or pistol pellets is not illegal. Well, it depends on what state. Look, the corporations masquerading as government don't want anybody to have any firearms, air pistols, or anything even looks like the thing because it upset their apple cart and their agenda, and we know that. We've only got to look at what's happening in the States, and we've got to be careful, of course, what we say. The people are being dumbed down. You haven't got a right to think anymore. Even what you think, if they understood it, they would object to you thinking about it. So as my old mum used to say, God rest her soul, you have to weigh words before you actually say them. So be careful. Clearing other impact in the refusal to give copies of everything. Yeah, well, this is a good point now. When you get pulled up by the police, uh, I'm an ex-cop, and I'm not happy with what a lot of the police done. They've got good and bad. Every every organisation has got good and bad. But you get pulled up by a bunch of cops, two cops in a police car, whether they're from the traffic mob. If your attitude is going to be crappy, you're not going to win anything. I suggest people, if it's not raining, you get out of your car, go to the safe side of the road, meet them at the back of the car. Because if you sit in the car, please talk down to you. And sometimes if you talk face to face with people and be polite, just say, guys, I hope you've had a bad day up till now, and I don't want to upset you by my attitude. And a decent cop sometimes will take that into consideration. It's called, they call it, let's see how this man or woman shapes up. If you shape up pretty nice, and if you're doing a little bit over the top that you could lose your license, the cops will use the discretion, and they'll, if they're going to give you a fine, they'll bring it down under so you don't lose your license. But if you're nasty, you think about it, it's the same as anybody else. You're going to upset them. This is going to be a banter going over and back. And all these things, I'm not contracting, I'm not giving you a name and address. I can assure you, you're not going to win. Now, if you have a common law ID card, you can be polite. Look, there's my address. All my ID information is on there. My photograph, my date of birth, my photograph. And right now, I am not a man or a woman. Correction, idiot. I'm alive. Can't edit this one out. I'm not a person. I'm a man or a woman. And by saying that, you can say the same thing. Now, guys, come on. You can tell me anywhere in the statute, in any statute law, in the Crimes Act 1958 or the Road Traffic Act where it says a man or a woman, I will put $100 into the kitty for police Blue Ribbon, which is a great organization, right? And of course, if they give you a ticket after that, well, they didn't use their discretion and they don't like you when you got a ticket. Not much you can do about it till it comes to paying it because it's collected by another private company. Anyhow, I'll shut up on that. Meanwhile, in Ireland, what food and food? Yes, I was over in Ireland in July and August. July was pretty wet. August was pretty good. It was very warm, even at low temperatures. Yes, thanks for setting the common law court. Thanks, love, and the sheriffs together. Yeah, look, it's. I was helping a few people in courts over the years and years, and you could see there's no way you will win in any of their statute systems, even with the law, because they've gone so far off course. They're just they're pathetic. I will say one thing: the magistrates, male and female, are much politer and easier to talk to than they were years ago. They do their best to contract with you, and they'll do everything to get you into that. Now, the only out from that is if you can prove the fact that you, at the time, you're a man or a woman, not a person, and at the time of the offence, it was a man or a woman, not a person at the time. And if you can ask the prosecution to read out the statute law, say, can you read out the act, the Car Act or the Dog Act, where it says a man or a woman? Now, they will say person found. And then this is where you can say, well, look, it just said a person. Can you show me anywhere where it says a man or a woman? Now, your argument is going to be with the man or woman who's prosecuting on the same level as the magistrate's up in the box. And it's a rule up, by the way. He's up in the box and he cannot hear, cannot see. The witness box cannot hear, cannot see. They're on different levels. So it's on a 5-level court where a common law court is on a level playing field. Okay. Plastic cover over the protector. Oh, right. Well, that's a bit of it. You got charged for that. It's a bit silly because the number plate's visible. I don't know what they're whinging about. They probably had a bad day. It's just absolutely pathetic. Oh, wow. This is worse than doing it. Wonder how we can record. That background's up in Queensland. I was up there a few years ago. So I'm sure that's useful information. The sheriff's act. Okay, a question. Do American sheriffs have the Roman facet X on the badge? Not really, no. There's lots of different badges. Oh, I think I might have one here to show you from I don't know if it'll come up on the screen or not. Oh, yeah. That's the Australian one. And if you look on the Common Law Court International, you'll see that the deputy sheriffs have a symbol one. Now, people said, oh, it's got the American symbol on there. Well, of course it does. Where else in the world are there sheriffs? And we have but masquerading as sheriffs in Australia. In Victoria, these galahs, they're not sheriffs, mate. They're masquerading as sheriffs. And I can tell you this: the Justice Department has been charged. The paperwork's in The Hague, and if we find any sheriffs out on masquerading as sheriffs, we will, our deputies or myself or anybody else, let us know where they are, and we will follow them around. We will video them, and we will charge them in their private capacity as masquerading as sheriffs. Just like the police catch somebody masquerading as a police, we can do the same thing. So they've got to be stopped, because we've got to stop them doing evictions, and we've had a little bit of success with that so far. You register your property with the common law court, because remember, possession is 9/10 of the law. Now, all of the states is back in the 50s, 60s, where cops get behind you and heart never skips a beat. Cops are actually great. Yeah, there's some great cops around. There's some great cops here as well. Sadly, so many of them have left the job. Really, a lot of decent cops have left because the stress. And now, even if you're a really nice cop, every time you go out there on the road, the chances of coming into an argument or a disagreement, and it builds up and builds up. That's what I said, when you get pulled over for a traffic offence, you don't know where they're coming from. They may have been in an argument with somebody else. They may have delivered a notice somebody else has been killed on the road. So look, we're all human. And if you look at on my YouTube channel, Dr. Steve Manning put a few videos up there and explains the meaning of life. If you're into that, have a look at that, because really, the world is a gregarious place, and you have to realize that the people in power at the moment overseas in the big country own and control this Australia, this little population we have here, owned and controlled by other people as well. But that's because one time when we elected politicians, they carried out the will of the people. But now they carry out the will of the party. And Albanese has already been indicted, convicted, and his paperwork's in The Hague, and I hope The Hague issue a warrant for his arrest, because he's bad news. Anyway, Barry, I know I feel I'm feeling very nervous. Never had a driving problem. Well, don't be nervous, because it sounds like a very, very small offence. Yeah, send us an email, Tree of Life. You get the website. Go to London News at Yahoo, londonnews@gmail.com. It's on there. It's on the London News site, and you can send me an email and a bit of information. If I can help you, I will. Anyway, anybody else got a question? Yeah, if next Thursday, I'll put the word out that I'll do it again next Thursday if I'm still alive, because at my age you've got to be careful making long term. Anyway, we're alive. I think this stays up on the channel afterwards. So, anybody else? We've got a few. Anybody else want a question answered? I'll just talk about possession being 9/10 of the law. Now, the phone. I've got my phone here. Say I walked out of I was in the shopping. Oh, the background is making it up. I'm walking out of the shopping center, and I've got this phone. It's brand new, and somebody phones up the police and says there's someone has just stolen a phone from the shop. And I'm walking out there carrying this lovely brand new phone, and the police walk up and say to me, "Oh, is that your phone?" And I says, "Yes. Remember, possession is 9/10 of the law." So there's a little piece missing. And the piece missing when it comes to items is the receipt. And I've asked some solicitors, a couple of barristers that question over the years, and they don't know who owns the other bit. I say, who owns the other bit? They don't know. Well, the receipt. Now, when it comes to a house, you need a certificate of title. And you get that now. So that's why when tenants are in there, sometimes they don't leave, and the police don't get involved in kicking them out because it's a civil matter. Although some of the police forces are unfortunately private companies, they do get involved as a private company in civil matters, which is totally unlawful, and it's wrong. But not everybody does that. Now, if you've got a mortgage, but you've been there a few years, you can say, "Look, I'm in possession." So you could use a certificate of title. They can't chuck you out in the street lawfully or legally. Now, the banks, of course, can go after the money that you still owe them, and although that's a load of old rubbish too. It's a long story as well, which there's some videos about that. They have to take it to the Supreme Court, but they can't take possession of your property because you're in possession, 9/10 of the law, and now you have the most important thing, a title. That doesn't mean if you're a tenant in a property you can get a title. You can't, and it's not fair, and it'd be absolutely stupid, and you will come undone for fraud. Okay. The photo of the ID is still a diplomatic photo ID. Well, when it says diplomat, the sending state is your family name. It's in brackets and it's in capitals, or it's in capitals. Doesn't matter. You're representing that as a diplomat for that sending state, and you're going to communicate with diplomacy. You don't have to argue the toss. You say, "There I am." It's now anybody other than a bank. Now a bank could insist, and some of them do, although a lot of them now are accepting our IDs. They for security reasons, your driving license has a lot of marks, stuff in there that gives it a certain amount of protection. Where the common law card is just basic. It says your name, address, photograph, date of birth, which is an ID, good enough for the immigration department, right? So a lot of people actually we forced a court here in Melbourne to accept that ID, and they did. And when we got them more or less to apologise with a stat deck, but that's another story. That's all you're doing. It's just a certificate to say who you are and your date of birth, and it's good enough. It's got everything that qualifies for identification. And you can londonnews@gmail.com if you want to get them. Anyway, that's another story. I have another matter which I will contact you in pretty serious. Thank you, Barry. You're very welcome. Tree of Life. Andrew asks, thanks, Barry. Thanks, Andrew. Andrew's up there at the top, Sheriff's badge. Yes, we've got 17 deputies. To be a deputy in the common law system or the sheriff's office, from that we have, as I said, we have enough at the moment, and we need money to get bigger. We'll expect people to do a security guards course with a security guards company. They don't have to get the license, but when you come to be a deputy sheriff, at least you've got a knowledge, because sure, believe it or not, security guards are pretty well trained, especially the ones who do a gun license. To get a gun license as a security guard, it's really their training, and I'm sorry, cops, it's a lot better than the academy training when it comes to firearms. They're very well versed, as I've done that course a few times over the years, and it's not easy. You don't fall into it, because even a written mistake in certain parts of it, you fail before you can get the fire gun. Okay. Well, what we might do, we might call this little waffle tonight to an end. I'll have a look on London News. Get to the London channel. There's a lot of really good stuff up there at the moment. Have a look at the Dr. Manning. He's put some stuff up there about he talks about, it's not religion, he talks about Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve, which we know that, personally speaking, I think it's a little bit gobbledygook, but the principle of life, and they teach this in law schools, comes down from that principle, the first trust and so on, and when debtors were created and so on. That it's a model for life, and it's Dr. Manning absolutely explains it very well. Leaving the screen for a crime, failing to report. Leaving the scene of a crime, failing to report an accident. Well, that is anybody who has an accident, as a car accident or a crash, or hits somebody and causes damage to another man or woman's vehicle, or injury, and leaves the scene. It's really not nasty, and you should never do it. Even if you're in the wrong and you hit somebody, for God's sake, get out and try and help them. If you can't help them and they die, stay there, because look, it was an accident. By leaving the scene, it becomes a criminal act, and you should and will get caught, and nobody gets away with it. Yes, possession is 9/10 of the law, and if you're in possession of something, but again, as I said, if it's a material thing like a phone or something, or a box of chocolates, you need the receipt. Now, if it's an old, you've had it 10 years, how are you going to have a receipt? But I mean, when it's new, a little bit of common, that's where common law comes from. When Alfred the Great, when they the what do you call them, the barbarians, the Vikings were all fighting each other over the religion. Some were Christians and some were what do you call them, mad. Anyway, when they all finished fighting among each other, Alfred the Great, the king, come along and says, from now on, there's no barbaric, generic laws. We're going to have one law that is common to all, rich and poor, Vikings, and so on. And that's where the word common comes from. It doesn't mean that it's common. It's it's common sense. And without a sheriff's office, there's no enforcement. So it takes a long time sometimes to learn all these things, but we learn them. Anyway, I'm going to go, guys. Just please God, next Thursday night, if I'm still alive, we'll go live and I'll make sure a few more people know about it. And I really thank you guys for popping on. I'll leave this up on the screen. I won't dump it. I don't think it's too embarrassing. Good night, everybody. Okay, I'll press the button. Bye.